You know, for a country to have democracy, it's not enough with free and fair elections.
Hi, I'm Dr. Ulf Erlingsson, and I would like to talk to you, fellow Americans, about how you go from democracy to dictatorship. And why do I want to talk to you about that today, 16th of December 2019? Because the United States is about to take that route. So let's look at how it's done. The way you do it is first you get yourself elected president. And how do you do that? Well, you enlist the help of a foreign power whose intelligence service you use and whose resources you use for the election campaign and to use propaganda and brainwashing. What's brainwashing? Brainwashing is when you remove part of the information from the people's brain. And the way you do that is you make them believe that those who say the neutral facts are lying, so that they disregard the information from the independent media and only listen to your propaganda sources and you who want to become dictator. That's the brainwashing. If possible, you also go in and cheat in the elections as such, in the election vote counting. That's harder, and it's not really necessary. If you can do the media campaign, the social media campaigns, you can accomplish a lot. Let's look at the country where this was done. In Venezuela, Hugo Chavez, he was a military who tried to do a coup d'etat, actually two military coup d'etats in 1992, with the help of Fidel Castro on Cuba. He was put in jail, but after he was released shortly thereafter, and then he started to run for president with the help of Fidel Castro's Cuba. Actually, it's a little bit curious because Adolf Hitler also tried to do a kind of coup d'etat and was put in jail, was released, and later ran for office and became the leader of Germany. So anyway, Fidel Castro helped Hugo Chavez get elected in 1998. And there was a lot of the same method that's been used in the United States, similar process. Disinformation, a lot of communists have always been seeding a lot of narratives, a lot of false narratives. It's the method they have to sow rumors in among people. When I was first time in the Baltic states, shortly after the collapse of the Soviet Union, I noticed that everything was buzzing with rumors, crazy rumors, believable rumors, but all rumors. Now with social media, they have a much easier time to do it. So then once in power, this president, he starts to take over the other institutions of government which are there to control him, our branches of government. In Venezuela, what Chavez did was calling for an assembly to write a new constitution, which of course means abandoning the old constitution and abandoning all the government agencies, the institutions of government, the Congress and so on, which is unconstitutional, patently, obviously unconstitutional. But he got the Chief Justice to agree to it. And that was the coup d'etat. Then he installed a constituting assembly with his people who wrote the constitution and appointed people that he wanted. And since then, Venezuela has been a dictatorship since 1999. But a lot of the world continued to treating Venezuela as a democracy, but it was not. The coup d'etat happened in 1999. Now we have in the United States Donald Trump. He came to power with the help of another foreign power, of Vladimir Putin's Russia. Notice this, that there is a connection between Fidel Castro's Cuba and Vladimir Putin's Russia, because after Fidel Castro, his brother Raúl took over the rule of Cuba, and then by that time, Vladimir Putin was already the president of Russia, and he gradually took over. So Cuba is now under Russia. But for Latin America, it's Cuba and their security service, G2, that are the actors that execute the plans. But the brain behind all of this is Putin. So in the United States, Putin went in and helped Trump get elected. Here's a curious thing, by the way. Trump has his Mar-a-Lago not far from here in Palm Beach. And do you know that close to that area, close to Mar-a-Lago, the richest people of the revolution in Venezuela, those criminals who stole the riches of the country, they have been investing it up there, and the people who are doing their dirty laundry of money, that is, they live up there close to Mar-a-Lago. And the Russian oligarchs, the mafia who've got rich and don't want to live in the cold in Moscow, they live here in Fisher Island in Miami, in Aventura, where Trump was the other day to secret fundraiser, and further north until Mar-a-Lago. So this coast here in Florida, on the southeast coast of Florida, is where the Russian mafia, the Venezuelan mafia converge, and that's exactly where Trump has his Mar-a-Lago, as the social center. Anyway, Putin helped Trump get elected. They executed a social media campaign along exactly these lines of propaganda, false rumors, brainwashing, accusing the free press of lying. Typical such process. The FBI were investigating because, it's just too painfully obvious to anybody who knows anything about intelligence and what is happening in countries. What happened in the United States in the election campaign 2016 was just plain obvious that Trump was whistling for Putin. I saw it like the first or second time I saw Trump on TV. I said, he's a Russian agent. He was talking just like Maduro in Venezuela. He was saying the most outrageous things. When I heard Maduro say it in his election campaign, I said, there's no way people are going to vote for him. He acted crazy. And he got elected anyway. And Trump did the same thing. He said crazy things. Just like he knew that it did not matter what he said, he would still get elected. And the more outrageous things he said in the election campaign, the more free reins he would have as a president, because people would give him leeway. And that's what happened. The Republicans are not holding him to the standards of a normal president. And that way, he has been able to subvert the division of powers. He has now stonewalled Congress like no other president has. And that's the first step to dictatorship, to completely ignore that branch of government. There is one more branch of government, and that's the Supreme Court. Now, in the impeachment hearings, in 2 days, the House will vote on whether to impeach Donald Trump. When this goes to the Senate, in the Senate, the Chief Justice will be presiding, but it's the senators, the Republican senators, who have the power to convict or to acquit Donald Trump. If they acquit Donald Trump after he has put himself above Congress, then that means that not just all future presidents will be above Congress, but Donald Trump will be above Congress. He will have made himself dictator. If the Republican senators do not vote to convict him. That's how close the United States is to go from democracy to dictatorship. Well, you have one thing to do as American citizen, one thing you can do to make this, to change history and to defend democracy, to defend the Constitution, and that's to contact your senator. That's the one thing you can do, to make them vote the right way to defend the Constitution. Because apart from the senators, there is only one person who can have any kind of influence in this, and that's the Chief Justice appointed by Trump. He could have an influence. He's the only person, the only civil servant here who really can have an influence, because as the person presiding the proceedings in the Senate, he could make sure that the court case in the Senate, impeachment court, is conducted in a way like a proper court, that there are no yelling, that there are no irrelevant arguments, that there are no witnesses brought in who are not relevant to the case, and that those witnesses who are relevant to the case, that they are called to witness. He can make sure that there is a real court case, so that the American people on television can see what the truth is, and that they can judge their senators so that they can go and vote in November next year, 2020, accordingly. There is one thing though, and that is that if Trump is acquitted, he will solicit Russian help. He will do nothing to stop Russian help, and the Republicans won't do it either. The Russians will meddle limitlessly in this election. And remember, Fox News is peddling Russian propaganda. And so are the Republican senators. They are peddling Russian propaganda. So the election in 2020 will be a life and death election on American democracy.